Hey, just a quick message before we get into the games. The support so far for FEA Gaming has been crazy, and as a way to thank you all, we are now running yet another giveaway. This time you have the chance to win a £20 voucher of your choosing. Pretty cool, right? To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is visit the Gleam link below and complete as many entries as you like. We hit 50 followers on Twitch and 100 subscribers on YouTube before the end of 2020. We will draw the winner during Ryan's birthday stream on New Year's Day. Remember, you've got to be in it to win it, so get those entries in. And as ever, good luck and happy gaming.
We should do it.
You've heard of FYG, now get
Yeah,
FY Daddy.
Because of the title. We've got the name in the title. We're doomed.
Yep.
Bugs from the outset.
Ruining us. There we go. Much better. There we go. Anyway, as I was saying, there was going to be something. The transition was fine. The music was fine. We didn't have any camera issues with it. Internet's laid up fine. Bam. Audio. As we were saying, we have two guests. We've got Mr. Rossua joining us again. And we've got Mr. Master Jinx. Mr. Master Jinx joining us as well.
Mr. Master Jinx. Mr. Master.
Oh, what is this? It's like a TV panel. Hey, folks. Bestie, good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. We brought someone of experience in the gaming industry with Ross. And we've got someone with much more experience than us with life, Master Jinx.
Wow.
Saying
you're old.
Did you like that? I said experience. This is the Ross, yeah. This is the Ross.
Jinx is basically a couple levels higher than we are.
He
in the game of life.
And he's also played the big topic of, well, I mean, everyone's talking about it. And it's in the title, the Cyberpunk game. Yeah, where do you want to start? Should we just play the trailer and get that rolling first? Roll the trailer.
Roll the clip. Make sure it's muted.
Yeah, good shout.
DMCA.
Yeah, I've pre-muted it just to make sure, you know.
Yeah. I mean, are you keeping the VOD?
Probably not.
So Bestie says, "Is this the Ross?"
It is the Ross. What Jinx lacks in size, he makes up for in experience and wisdom.
Wow.
Oh, bro, run the track. Yeah, so this was the Cyberpunk official trailer. I mean, it looks amazing, right?
Can you make
So
it
good.
Can I make it what? I can't
screen.
full screen. If I full screen it,
not?
it's going to take all of us out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
point.
that's the reason that I'm playing it like this.
Right.
Ross is quiet. All right, let me crank the volumes.
Try
Not
and
quite
get
quiet
over.
in general, anyway.
Well, I mean,
Right,
talk
can you hear
for
me now?
There you
Yeah.
go. Turned you up a bit.
Am I louder?
Yeah, you're louder. Turned you up this end. And is Ross muted? No.
No.
Would be better with
I've got-
sound. It would. DMCA's though, right? I mean, that's a whole different issue that we're not going to go down tonight. It is going to involve.
That's a whole nother podcast subject that we just ain't touching on yet.
It is going to involve trailers like this being played in silent, unfortunately. Ross sounds like a cabin crew from a long flight. So soothing. Ah, there we go.
Aww.
Ross, if you got the stream up, would you like to just read that out from Bestie?
in your best air hostess voice.
Well, ladies and
that-
gentlemen, we're about 20 minutes from our arrivals. So if you need to visit the restroom, please do it shortly. Thank you.
Ding,
That is
ding, ding, ding.
Ding dong.
Thank you
Please
for
take a
flying
seat.
with British Airways.
Whoa, you can't drop a name like that.
What do you mean we're sponsored by them?
What the fuck? Since when? Bro.
Well,
Putting out there
Ryan
now.
gets the royalties, but
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just loud. Why does he need why does he need me for voiceovers?
It's the only voice I can do.
His own.
His own. Yeah.
That and a slightly like higher pitched, campier voice. That's about it, really. I'm not going to do that now, so don't
I
worry.
think everyone's capable of that one, though, aren't they?
No, I
Yeah.
think you probably should. Now that you've said it, I mean, you might as well express
no,
yourself whilst you're on stream, right?
Might offend some people is the problem with that.
Yeah, I don't offend anybody.
True. Not wrong. So yeah, Cyberpunk is the big issue. It's on. I mean, it's everywhere. BBC, the news have reported on it. Independent have reported on it. Game studios are going nutty. Sony, Microsoft, CD Projekt Red themselves. I mean, Ryan, where do you want to start? What should we talk about first?
Let's just talk about how cool it looks in this trailer, though.
It looks really cool.
This is a game I really want to play.
You can't deny it does. It's got that appeal.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, when they were like filming these, like the footage for these trailers, like do you think they had to like do multiple runs because there was a certain bug that might have popped up in each one, and they're like, oh shit, rerun it, let's see if we just don't get it again.
I
We'll keep
imagine
going
they-
until the bug doesn't show up.
I imagine they probably set up like a specific iteration of the game engine and just like
And just like worked hard on it.
yeah, just like this one scene, they just kind of made that look really fancy.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I
generally
guess so. With all the lighting and stuff.
Yeah,
Old Johnny Silverhands.
Hmm.
All right. So, what
That's
have
the
I
other
got?
thing as well. They brought someone like Keanu Reeves. They brought him out on stage when they announced it, and then it turned out to be what we're going to discuss, I guess. I mean, the video, if you look, the trailer's got 31 million views.
That's huge.
That's quite a lot for a game trailer.
it is.
Yeah.
That's quite.
Yeah,
a
I
lot
wonder
for a
how
game
that
trailer.
ranks against others.
It'd be interesting to see. I don't know where we'd find that information really quickly.
We probably won't.
The trailer makes it feel like I'm watching somebody in VR. Love the way it's filmed, first person, etc. This is what they I mean, they made it look groundbreaking and stuff, right?
And it really is all first person as well.
Yeah. Well, minus the car bit that they just jumped.
Minus the
into.
car bit, which you can do either of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how there's a man with lightsaber arms and stuff.
Yeah.
apparently, guess what the number one most viewed trailer?
Minecraft.
Nope. Guess again.
GTA 5.
Fortnite.
Yep. Season 5
damn it.
announcement trailer. 48.6 million views.
Oh my god.
That's crazy, huh?
Actually, I don't think. How much has this had? 31 million
31.
views.
Yeah.
So this would be. This would be technically third.
What's
Second is Fallout 76,
Really?
Really?
and
That's
then
bizarre.
third is
It's
Red Dead
very high.
Redemption 2.
The only
Okay.
thing I can think of that people are going back to these trailers, and I mean, like what we're doing now, looking at what it was promised to be.
How many comments has it got? Because it's
Uh,
another reason why they could be viewing
I mean,
mean,
421,000 ups.
about 40,000 comments.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you've had Keanu Reeves as well, so it's massively hyped.
Yeah, I think most of the views would have come from before it came out.
Yeah.
It was massively hyped, but
If people just
I
be
guess-
rewatching the trailer because it looks so cool. To be fair,
Yeah.
it does.
yeah. I guess we'll just start with what your guys' level of excitement was for the game leading up to the release. So before we knew what an absolute shambles it was.
Jinx, do you want to go first on that? What were you
Sure.
expecting? What were you?
Mixed. I have a habit of holding back when it comes to, especially games that are so overly hyped. Probably because I'm quite a glass half empty kind of guy. Like, it's never going to live up to the hype. It's the same with movies. Like, if someone's hyping up and bigging it up that much, I allow myself to get away from that because it's never going to live to the hype that it generates. I don't think anything for me personally ever has. So I didn't actually get that hyped for it until it was pretty much come to release day, and I'm like, actually, I haven't fucking ordered this. I really need to actually consider it because it does look good. But I never took it to the level of hype that it got.
So you'd say you were looking forward to it, but you weren't like properly hyped for it.
It wasn't something that I couldn't wait to get my hands on. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't that.
Yeah. Ross, I know that we've spoke a few times before and you've messaged me about Cyberpunk and how good it looked. And
Yeah, I was really excited when I first saw it. Since the delays, not so much. So
is it because, so we're going to delve into your sort of knowledge of working in a studio. Is it because you knew what that could potentially mean from being in a studio and game dev side, or?
yeah, well, being delayed maybe once is probably okay. Things happen, that you can't account for, especially with COVID and things like that as well. A lot of I know that we've had stuff that's been pushed back, so it's I kind of expected it in a way, but
Mhm.
the other two, not so much. So yeah, it didn't really give me the most amount of confidence,
Okay.
to be honest.
We've spoke about it before on here. I was really looking forward to it, but I never took the dive to pre-order. I'm pretty much the same as Jinx in that respect. Really wanted to play it. Thought it looked cool. Watched all the Night City Wire episodes, and it built up the hype. But something this ambitious in the back of my head was telling me there's going to be something. I just didn't expect it to be as
Yeah.
big as what it is. It's,
I guess what my thinking was leading up to it, particularly around the second delay, because you got to think this game was originally supposed to be out in like April, I think it was this year.
yeah.
So when they delayed it for the second time, I kind of like I was still there was just something about the game that just didn't sit with me, and it was just like I don't know. Something makes me feel a bit uncomfortable with like everything they're showing, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Obviously, no one knew it was going to be this bad, but I think part of the problem was because they were hyping it and hyping it and hyping it, and everyone was getting so excited for it. Like it was, even if it didn't come out buggy, it probably still wouldn't have lived up to the hype because people were just trying to raise it even higher on this pedestal constantly. It was never going to perform as well as people expected it to. It's just a shame that it really bottomed out like big time.
Massively. So what we'll try and do because I've got a feeling that we're going to have a few messages about the game throughout the chat. We'll try and get to some of the questions as we go. So a wild female hasn't seen much about the game apart from all the bugs, but from what you gather, it's like GTA but futuristic. Jinx, is that an accurate sort of?
Is that an accurate loose description?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is kind of that was my perception before I played it because I didn't really look into it very much until I did. And it is along that basis, yes. So it is. You could treat it as a futuristic GTA with a current single player side of it only at the moment. I think that's a fair kind of a prediction.
Yeah.
Of it, yeah.
And then Bestie has said, do you feel that as we near 2021, having mind-blowing things like electric cars, AI, etc., do you not feel that all game releases should look this incredible?
They should.
They should.
There's a lot of work to go into games to make it look like that.
Exactly.
Don't forget,
You got to
that's
think
been
how long
over
this game's
9
been
years.
made for.
How long has
Yeah.
it been in production? Sorry, Ross.
About 9 years.
9 years. So
Yeah, because I think we looked it up the other day, didn't we? And it was announced in 2012.
Yeah.
Which was the end of the PS3 cycle.
Yeah.
But even then, it would have been in production in some sort of way before that, wouldn't it?
Because you couldn't believe it was that long, right? Since they first announced it, the initial.
Well, yeah,
announcement.
I thought they announced it when the PS4 was out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and I vividly remember seeing it.
Yeah.
And that's one that I questioned But yeah, 7 years. I think I said 7 or 8 years when I
Yeah.
said that. So Ross, for a game like that, as ambitious as what it is 9 years too short?
Too short.
Yeah.
Well, you'd run into the danger of that is just you never really truly finished. You know, when you're making something creative like that.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
it's been
well,
blatantly obvious, right?
I mean, yeah, it's different when yeah, but I think any time, however long you want to have, you're going to end up probably not doing everything that you wanted to do. So you could have given it like a 10 years, but they still would have had things that they wanted to implement that
Yeah.
they just didn't have the time for. So uh, it's a hard one to balance.
Okay. So it depends on what they want to get out of it. Because I suppose
Yeah,
it depends
depends what
on.
your goals are.
Yeah, so they could make it look that good and have it be a 10-hour game, and it's not going to take as long as that, right? But because they're adding all of these extra bits on, is it like the extra bits that they bolt on? So the story itself, however long it might be, they then bring in the fact that they've got to um, add all of the I don't know what they're called, modifications and stuff. Is that going to take a lot of time to then implement to make sure that there aren't bugs in the game? Do you know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
also
So
it's also working out how this all works together. And like they're creating, not only a game, they're creating, a city,
Yeah.
like a living, breathing place, and making that feel like a living, breathing place, and that's
Very
a lot harder to do.
hmm,
I
So
guess part of the problem as well is that like technology changes over that much time. So when they first announced it, they were probably making it ready for the PS4, optimizing things for that, and then there came a point where there was, I don't know, like a faster GPU or whatever, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we can now use this to make this better, and then they're constantly improving. But like you say, there has to be a point where you need to draw the line and say like, this is where we stop.
this is what I was about to bring up. That's the
Yeah,
problem, isn't it? When you've got a game of this size, you kind of set yourself a time schedule, but as we all know, technology progresses so quickly at this day and age that within a
Mhm.
year you can have a brand new game engine or technology that completely just changes the whole kind of scenery of what
yeah,
you were trying to create, and then it's like you got to go back and redo everything, or stick with what you've got and then risk being outdated before it's even released, and it just
exactly.
continues to build from there going forward.
Yeah,
How many
I agree.
technology changes have we had since they started that 9 years ago?
Since
Huge
yeah,
amount.
exactly.
Huge.
Things have been mad since then, haven't they?
Don't forget as well, with new technology as well, it opens up different ways for making a game,
Yeah.
and how like in the how it's like kind of loads behind the scenes and how that behaves. So like you'll see like with a lot of the PS4 games, you'll go through like a really small area, then you'll open up into a really large area. That's just a way for it to kind of basically dump everything else behind you and load everything else in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
With the PS5, it doesn't really do that anymore. It's got to
Yeah.
the point where, especially is it the Ratchet and Clank one?
where they go
Where
through
they're
like
like,
the portal
they're-
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
pretty
just
much
like
how
a click, and they're in the next world.
yeah,
Aren't
exactly.
Yeah.
That's like demonstrating that you don't really need to do that anymore.
they? Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that games like this with the open world, it's going to be a lot more difficult. I'm guessing there's like a render distance where it will pre-render what's potentially in front, and then if you're going to change track and go off to the left, like a sharp left or something, it's then got to cancel out what you've pre-rendered over here and load something over here. Is that an accurate sort of?
Yeah, it depends on. Again, it's depending on like the game,
Right.
and what you want to do. But sometimes you'll have stuff that gets turned on and off depending on where you're looking. There'll be like a field of view, and stuff gets like added in or removed depending on where you're looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's loads of like nifty little tricks that they use to kind of get around.
There's a
to
video
keep-
I actually saw similar to that. and it was based on Cyberpunk. Funny enough, I think it might have been a Linus video where they were trying to run at the highest quality they can and then comparing it to the lowest. And you could actually see like from a viewing distance when the render starts to cut. Say if you've got like a patch on the back of your top, you can watch them walk away from distance and kind of recognize at that cutoff point just
Where the patch disappears.
the patch disappears or just turns into a colored blotch.
Yeah.
But again, I assume, Ross, that's again down to the way that they program for the kind of the GPUs, the way they could have all the render capabilities depending on the graphics you use as well. So that's game engine wise, I assume.
Yeah. Normally, when you see stuff like that, like popping, like characters popping, that's what generally what it's called. You actually go down to like a low res version of the model and textures sometimes as well. So that's why,
yeah.
like, if you load in and everything looks really kind of blocky and muddy, and all of a sudden it kind of like pops into like really nice quality. That's just sort of like the loading behavior, which is called lodding. So depending on what distance you are from something, it will load in a couple of different models. So generally it's about maybe three or four versions. So like the furthest one would be like a basic shape.
Yeah.
And then depending on how close you get, it gives you more detail in the model.
So yeah, with the city being the size that it is, I'm assuming it's quite a big map, Jinx. I've not actually looked at.
Apparently, it's vertical, like very vertical.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, it is kind of longer more than it is wider. I don't want to say too much, but I haven't seen the whole place yet.
Okay.
It's pretty large. Yeah.
No.
I guess speaking about technology and stuff, in 2012, would ray tracing have even been that big a thing? And then suddenly, out of nowhere, everyone needs ray tracing in their games. And I can imagine, well, from what videos I've watched about ray tracing, it's not a very simple thing to implement. So even something like that, there's such a small feature when you're playing the game. Yes, it makes your reflections look fancy, but it's probably a whole host of work for the devs to have to squeeze into not much more time in a game that might have already been most of the way there.
So I think I've never actually used it before, but
Yeah.
I can imagine. Obviously, again, it's be very quite intensive on your. I don't know if it's your GPU or CPU, but it's very intensive.
Yeah.
And depending on what you want to use it for, and then again, it might be right if you're walking in a room with a mirror, but if you're walking in a city that's got like just tons of windows and doors and things like that,
Shiny cars and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So the more you have of
Neon
the stuff
lights.
that will do that, then obviously it's going to make it more intensive.
I guess with all them separate models as well, it's going to make it even worse. It's not just it's the basic person walking down the street and it casting a shadow. It's got to then work on each shadow that it's casting.
Yeah, it is literally dynamic, so whatever you're doing and whatever way you're facing, the movements, the positioning, the sun, the buildings, the objects, it's all live data, real time, dynamic move and lighting. So and especially with a game like Cyberpunk where they literally throw neons and all these bright, vivid lights right into your face.
Yeah.
Everything has got this reflection with whatever you do and however you move it around. There's a lot of it. Really, really quite intensive.
Yeah.
So, what are the biggest bugs that are being seen at the minute, Ryan? Have you got a sort of breakdown of that, or?
I haven't. There was all I could find was like an IGN article where it was like a list of the funniest ones.
Well, yeah, we spoke about one of them earlier.
What are the funniest ones?
Let's have a look.
So you can make your member so big that it pops through the trousers and it's constantly on show.
Oh yeah, I saw images of that. Actually, that's quite funny.
See, like if a bug like that happens in a game, fine. It's funny.
That's low priority. I could stay there for a little bit.
Yeah.
The problem is, right? Surely streamers must be getting in trouble for that. If they're doing it.
Well, funny enough, because you can turn streamer mode on, and you can also turn like a blurred, or you can turn him into a Ken doll, basically.
Right.
However, I watched a very small intro to Shroud's stream a day before, which we'll get into because that was another frustrating thing with the devs, but I'm sure we can pick that up. He showed it fully on stream, and he didn't give one iota what was going to happen. Nothing did happen, clearly. He's still there.
No, yeah.
However, I think, and again, I'm a fan of his. I don't think that's going to be the same treatment with everyone.
No.
So
So that again, that comes down to another Twitch side of things, right? That's not something
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
That's another day, maybe, shall we say?
I mean, all in all, what I've been seeing most of is just that there's been hard crashes. Like nothing particular, but you could just be going about your business and you'll crash. Or I've seen a couple of times where people are trying to do a mission and they just can't talk to an NPC. Like the NPC will be stuck in a T pose or something, and they can't
Right.
talk to it to complete it. That's all I've really seen commonly from online in places.
Yeah. So,
So,
I've now got a list of them. Oh God. Oh no. It might have.
oh,
finished.
you
Give me a minute.
minimised it.
I didn't mean to. Yeah, I did. Yeah. Ross is still moving. Jinx.
I'm putting off
Ross
a very
is fine.
weird
Why
pace.
is Ross fine?
That's bizarre.
He's special.
Ross's fault.
It's just me now, is it, hosting?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
I think I've got-
podcast is all yours, bud.
Take it away, Russ.
Hold up, I'm getting us there. It's
Oh, wait.
fine.
Ryan's
I think I
back.
can see Ryan.
Yeah, there you go, Jinx.
It's so
is
strange.
back.
Why is it freeze?
When it minimises.
Yeah, so
What,
he's
uh,
minimised his window that we're streaming from.
I accidentally shook my the window that I had hold of and it completely closed. So yeah.
Let's
let
do
me
that, you.
Just. I don't know if I can. I could probably put these on screen. I don't think there's going to be any that are too bad. Let's. All right.
I've just gone onto Games Radar article where they've got like little clips.
That's the
of
one that I'm
different,
now
like-
looking at. I'm going to put it up.
Have you watched the first one?
The tree.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of these.
No,
It's
that's
so
fine.
weird.
We'll watch them together.
Watch it together.
It's a bit of a strange one. Now I'm going to mute it, although I shouldn't have to mute it to be fair.
No, you should be
No.
fine.
There
So
might not even be
again,
any
if you want to
sound
go
on it.
read this, just search for Cyberpunk bugs, and
Yeah.
it's on Games Radar.
Check out
So-
Games Radar. We
Got
often
first
use
one?
Games Radar.
Oh, okay.
A Yeet and Palm, which I can't restart. Oh, I can restart. I can restart. There we go. Yay!
Wow.
Yep. Is
How does that happen? Like, I don't understand it. Do you think it's where they've tried to animate it so the tree waves and someone's just put like a few too many zeros
Times
in code,
1,000, yeah.
and it's just like because there's like nothing there that activates it. It just goes.
It's
Mm.
almost like one of the cars has like an anchor point or something on it.
It's just like dragged it.
Yeah, that's the only. It's like this car here when
weird.
that goes off.
Strange.
Very strange.
It's so bizarre.
Next, we've got. Oh, I watched this one before I shared it. Come on, load. Oh, I am gonna. Don't need the sound. You can add the sound. Sorry.
Yeah,
Punch
the sound-
yourself. Punch yourself.
Wait,
What
what?
the hell?
Oh,
Oh, wow.
see you, bud. Oh,
Oh, well, that's an
oh
issue.
my god.
I mean,
Serves you right for killing that person, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
that's the karma system at work.
That,
Yeah.
children, is why you don't kill people.
All right.
To anyone who's
sliding
spoilers, spoilers, just in case.
Broken animation.
Oh yes, but
From way back. Doesn't matter.
Oh,
See ya.
bye.
It's
oh
crazy.
god, there's loads in here. All right,
Yeah.
we'll just.
Wait. Oh boy.
Okie dokie, there's his
There
bike.
you go. Personal delivery.
I'll have it plays the music as well.
Yeah.
Wait,
So I wonder if this is all from the same person.
I don't
He's
know. Whoever's
experienced all of
just
them.
collected it.
feel like this one's set up like they know that something causes
Yeah,
this bug,
it looks
whatever
that way,
is, to
doesn't it?
happen.
They're trying to make it happen.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, perhaps
Wow.
not.
Yeah, maybe not.
Ah,
Oh.
Alright. Let's keep it. Oh no.
Oh, I've seen this.
I haven't.
Wow.
Oh dear God.
Is that a
That's
bug?
funny.
Or is that someone who's pretending to be?
I mean, they could play it
Because
either way.
that they could get away with that just being part of the thing, right?
I've seen another variation of that where someone sees the person in the wheelchair and they punch them, and the person just gets up and runs away. But I think part of the problem there also is that the NPC at the end walks through the wheelchair like it's not even there. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's something you'd expect to see in GTA.
I hope he yeets.
I'm waiting for him to go flying. Oh, PS4.
What?
Blue screen.
I don't know. No, I think
Anything?
that's the clip.
Wait, what happened
I
there?
don't know.
Yeah, what's the issue?
The game just freeze or something. I'm guessing.
Was it something there?
Something here, is it? I don't know.
Is it quite floating?
Oh,
Oh, what?
Well, there's your issue.
yeah.
There's your issue. I mean, he's just giving him a piggyback.
Yeah.
Whilst
I love how
floating.
he's just driven past that as well and go, wait, what was that? What did I just
Yeah.
see?
I love the bad he reversed
Just
from the
reversed,
check.
yeah,
like,
right.
You guys okay?
Gets back into like just make sure he saw what he saw. Like,
Yeah.
Nothing to see here.
Oh,
Old school filming.
Oh god, yeah. Is that play? Oh, it's playing the next one, bruh. This poster's awful.
Mm,
Is it? It's playing the next one.
yeah.
so it's just the
That's
bike
not-
is driving away.
That's that way.
It's staying the same distance from him.
Yeah. So if he
if it-
stopped, I assume
he'll-
that would stop.
Question mark. Banned? Why banned? Sure.
Banned?
Don't know. Make a dude with his cock out on your screen, mate.
Oh, the advert.
there's
maybe.
Oh,
He's not making it.
No.
no.
The boxers on it's alright. It's a tight fit.
It's literally for Levi's, mate.
The
with an
concerning thing is the fact that you're the only one that's noticed that.
A.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's not what you've been watching.
And nips? Oh no.
Not the nips.
Oh dear God!
Wait.
You threw me into another universe.
That's super
The
true.
car like rolled with it.
That is trippy.
You know how Twitch is, mate? Well, yeah. Anything
Okay.
that is judged 5 times as hard.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Why does
Oh,
what the fuck is that?
I swear they based that off me.
Hey, you guys.
What's wrong like this?
Very strange.
It's like the Halo Chief thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's gonna get yeeted, I assume.
Eat it or it'll crash, I reckon.
Oh.
Oh.
oh, okay.
Well. That's
I mean,
unfortunate.
that's like a typical CD Projekt Red thing there. When
like Roach being on a
Roach
roof.
being on a roof and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
Is it the
No, I
same
think
engine
Uh,
they've used?
I think we get the idea.
So yeah, I mean that's
Wow.
just some of them. I don't know. It's funny because the one with the guy like holding his fist to himself, I've just got that and the screen off to the side. Oh dear. Yeah, so I mean, it involved lighting, it involved models, it involved mission objectives, vehicles mainly, I guess. I don't know what else is out there. I just know that it looks awful on PS4 as well.
Yeah, I've seen the clips.
So let me just see if I can find something real quick.
Interesting. Apparently, it's a different engine to Witcher 3.
A different engine.
Yeah.
Maybe
Not
Is
sure
it
it's the
one
same
of their own
one.
made engines as well?
I imagine it might be.
Yeah.
It's called the
Like-
Red Engine 4.
Yeah, this is probably one that's specifically
Yeah.
made for this game, isn't it?
I can imagine they just adapted the previous one.
I'm just trying to find a video of the
What are you looking for?
just some PS4 Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay real quick. If I do it, I think it's gonna be some. Once I find this, what else have we got that we can
So,
whilst you do that?
I guess one topic we could spin from that, or one question that I can pose that comes from that footage is, like, where do you guys think that we place the blame? Because at the end of the day, it's someone's fault that this game came out in the way it did, right? So, do we think it's the upper management rushing the game out? Do we think it's even consumer pressure from multiple delays, or do we think maybe just the devs were overambitious?
With Ross's insight, I think he'll probably get a better view from the inside. But I don't think we could probably really blame it on one individual. I think it's a multitude, the consumer, you know. I'll let Ross kind of go with that one because he's got more of an inside knowledge on that.
Hard to say, really. I'll probably say it's maybe just like a breakdown in communication.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily the dev's fault. I think management should be, or upper management should be, kind of be aware of the schedule and how long things are planned to take. And it's also up to the devs to say, okay, this is going to take longer, or you know. So I think I'm leaning towards management because I probably would. as I'm a dev, so-
Well, yeah. But you
But, you
got to think that, like, given the time, developers would have been able to not have this kind of stuff happen, you know?
yeah,
but-
but considering they've been in crunch as well,
Yeah.
they've been crunching to get this done. I'm willing to say that it's more management and probably a little bit of pressure to get it out from us, the consumer, and probably like
Yeah.
shareholders, things like that.
Or, yeah, I was going to say, or even investors that just want to get their return, you know?
During the hardest time of the year as well,
Yeah,
or the hardest year in general.
And I do feel bad. It's got to be really like, one thing I thought about is just how bad this got to be on the developers, the guys actually on the floor that have been making the game. When they knew the release date was coming, they could see the condition that this game was in, but they had no control over stopping it coming out. So December the 10th for those guys must have been like, I'm just gonna lock myself away and just try and stay off everything just to not see what the damage is, because
I mean,
they obviously knew it was coming.
You wouldn't go on social media on that day knowing that you're shipping this game that was so highly anticipated. 9 years in the making, maybe a bit more.
be sleeping
you-
at this point. They probably don't give a shit that
Well.
it's been working for like however many months. in
Yeah,
crunch time.
so
just
they've
wanna
already
get it out.
pushed. They've already pushed a few patches to address some of the bugs. So I'm not sure that all of them are sleeping, but they might be taking.
Yeah. I mean, they'll still be really ridiculously busy, but
Yeah.
Not like they
Hopefully
were,
not.
I guess. Not like Crunch was.
Hopefully not.
How would you feel shipping that game after all the hype, everything that we know about it? Obviously, we're not in their shoes. Again, Ross, this is one that you're gonna have a bit more insight on because you know about shipping and stuff. How would you feel knowing that probably the most anticipated game?
Of all time.
I mean, yeah, of the decade for sure.
It could be argued. Definitely could be argued.
Yeah. How would you
I
feel
think-
shipping this?
Well, I think anybody that makes something creative, and obviously it gets released earlier than what they planned, and they know it's not in a condition that they are happy with. I think it's natural for anybody to feel maybe disappointed,
I think
upset,
there's got to be frustration in there as well, especially
frustration as well. Probably
Go on.
more the community for, I'm guessing, being absolutely badgered by them for like the past couple of months to actually release it, and then when it's released, they know it's not at a standard that it would like, and they're still getting a lot of abuse.
Yeah.
I think you're right in saying that the management has got to be the main party to blame here. Because they're the ones that obviously they're the ones cracking the whip saying this is the date, this is what we're selecting. They're the ones that's obviously giving this information to developers, to the social media teams, and to marketing and everything else to go and say, right, push this, for that, for that. That's what we're going to do, regardless of whether they're able to achieve that or not. But it's obviously all those frontline people that are getting all the slack. This is one thing that really ticked me off about the whole situation with the Cyberpunk being 3 times delayed. I didn't realize it was 3 times in total. Is the fact that, what we've got to remember at the end of the day, it's still just a video game. And the fact that the social media side, it came from the company, but this affected everyone within the company, mainly the hard workers, that they had to go out and actually create a message saying, we are still humans, we don't like death threats.
Yeah.
That's where it got too far for me, and that's where it really, really ticked me off. These are still people trying to do a standard job, given pressure by the hierarchies to achieve something for their own pockets and their own benefit. That ticked me off, the fact that as a consumer, we should never be putting that kind of pressure and threat, more so than what they're already getting from inside people. So that really got to me.
Yeah, stack that with the fact that they've had to work overtime to
The
meet
crunch.
this deadline.
You've got people that are probably scattered all over the place, working from home, from offices, finding new ways to communicate with everyone, trying to gather all that information and pass it on. It must have been an absolute nightmare for those frontliners.
I think what a lot of people fail to forget is, although it's a video game that we'll all sit down and play, this is art for someone. Like, a creative person has sat down, they've created a piece of art for this.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you shouldn't rush anything that's creative. You should have all the time that you need to do it. It's just a shame that the industry has kind of set up this idea that if you set a date, that is the date. You have to give us this product by that point. Whereas I feel like developers should feel like they're allowed to say, like, we don't think this is ready, which is what they did at the start with the second delay. And everyone was praising them for it, right? They said, well done for admitting that you don't think is ready. We'd rather have a polished game than a mess. But
100%.
it's just a shame that they weren't bold enough to delay it again, like it definitely needed.
100%. It should have went back at least 6 months. Another 6 months.
Yeah, March, April next year, probably.
So I looked earlier. I saw that Witcher 3 was delayed by a year.
So when did Witcher 3 come out?
2015, I think it was.
Right.
2015, 2016, but it was delayed a year. But would you rather? I'd rather it be delayed a year than 3 times within 6 months and still come out.
Yeah.
It gives them a chance to actually plan what they're going to do for the next year, rather than kind of try and just in this constant state of crunch and panicking to try and get stuff done.
They should have been able to go into the meeting with everybody leading up to the April delay, and said, "How long do you guys think you need?" And if people were coming back saying 6 to 9 months, they just said, "Well, what if we give you a year? Let's delay it a year, because then we're going over what you think it will take you."
And also,
That
a good
way,
general rule is to say, like, however long you think it is, just double it. 'Cause
yeah,
it's never going to take you the same amount of length.
yeah, which is what they should have done. It
It
looked worse because they done it so many times, right?
Yeah.
it kind of backs up thinking it's managers though, right? Or a managerial position, because time is money. What was the last game that they released? I mean, they're going to have funds locked away, obviously. That's a given. But
What was it, Gwen?
I mean, yeah, but do we count
Something
that?
like Witcher
Well,
3.
It'll be Witcher 3.
It
Yes.
probably would be Witcher 3 then,
Witcher 3.
2015.
So 2015, 5 years. Is it getting to a point where the funds are slowly sort of dropping out and they need that little top up just to keep it going, to keep the studio afloat? It's the weird thing for me was that Night City Wire started months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they hadn't started Night City Wire, they probably would have delayed it a bit more. I feel like the Night City Wire was there as like a lead up to it. They had this many episodes planned, and they weren't going to shift from that because they're building the hype each time they released another episode of that.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of it, everyone was like, "Okay, this game's going to be really, really good." And then they were like, "We've got to get it out there because if we delay it now, we've just done Night City Wire. That's our marketing gone for the rest of the year. If we delay it to April, we've then got to come up with something else."
I think the problem with that though is when they decided to do the Night City Wire, they were basically they were actively deceiving people, because they were showing gameplay and they were showing footage of what the game. This is what the game will be. Here's how this will work. But in the background, they know that that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And I think the worst one of it all, if you got the Google Doc open, if you go on the link to the initial apology tweet, the worst part of it all is when CD Projekt Red finally decided to send out review codes to the press. They did it 5 days before the game came out. So they expected people to play the game and pretty much finish it to be able to get a review done in 5 days, but they only sent out PC codes. And the first part here is that they're apologizing for not showing the game on last gen consoles, and the reason they've done that is because they knew the game was broken.
Mm-hmm.
So they've done all of this marketing. They've like literally not given people codes to the previous gen consoles just so they don't see how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
They've spent the whole time just deceiving people. They've spent like most of the year just telling lies, basically, which is just not on.
It's
The
completely wrong.
the other thing is this apology. Look how many people have signed it off.
Yeah,
That's a lot of people. They
it's
could have just left
all the
it.
head honchos, I think, isn't it?
They could have just left it as CD Projekt Red management.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to name every single one of them. I don't know. It just seems strange. They knew what they were doing, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was something inside, and all the workers went, "We don't want our names being put to this apology because we told you."
Could be, actually. Yeah.
Do you know, like, because if you knew it was going to come out like that, and I mean, it's a buggy mess or whatever, you're not going to say, "I apologise for that," if you've warned upper management that it's not ready. And I do strongly believe that people, if you were to ship something like that, Ross, would you put your hands up and say, put my name to an apology because it's ready? That's what the game should be. That's how it should look. That's how it should play.
If something like that, of course I'll be like, it's not my fault. If we've taken our steps necessary to tell upper management to inform them that we don't have the time needed to to do what you want or to finish it to a high enough standard, then it should be the people most likely responsible for pushing it forward to actually apologise. So I reckon it's probably them to do with some sort of management.
Hmm.
Maybe they could have been maybe not telling maybe their managers the real situation in terms of what's going on.
Exactly, and that's probably what it is. The guys in the middle, they've been receiving the feedback saying the game's not ready, but then passing it on and saying that's fine, like we'll have it done in time.
Yeah.
That's probably where the issue came from.
How much damage do we think this has done to this game?
To the game, I don't know, because they're going to fix it. It will be fixed at some point, right? And people will it'll basically just have a re-release, and people will just buy it when it's fixed.
There'll be a Game of the Year edition or something, won't there?
Yeah. They'll probably do some special DLC for people that...
Imagine if they bring it out and they
Don't
make
have
it
it.
like this includes the DLC and they name it like the Fixer Edition or something.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Gold edition or
Cyberpunk
Ultimate
Fixer
edition,
Edition.
something like that.
Like, instead of remastered, it's just fixed.
But I'm going to bring up a game that is along a similar lines to this. Obviously, we know that Witcher 3 got delayed like it did. It just screams No Man's Sky. And I said this last week on the podcast.
Mhm.
It screams No Man's Sky. They
I
wanted
think it's as bad.
We don't think this is as bad, or No Man's Sky
I
is
would
as bad?
disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's to the level of No Man's Sky.
I mean, No Man's Sky was
Mm.
unplayable for anyone and anyone.
It wasn't unplayable.
No, it was the fact that they lied
It
about
was
a
a sh-
feature that was going to be in the game, right? They
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that you'd be in. It's a massive. They basically said it was an MMO.
Yeah.
And then when the game came out, and people were like, "I still haven't found anyone. What's going on?" I'm pretty sure they said, "Oh, it's just because the world's so big. It's a really small chance of
They
you
lied
meeting
further.
someone."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, this was more of an upper management / relationship kind of thing as well. It is. I don't know. With the next thing that I'm going to load up, it feels like Sony and Microsoft probably looked at No Man's Sky as the example, and it'll make sense when I put it up on there. So this is the PlayStation Store retraction of the game.
Mm.
I don't think this has ever been done before.
No.
Even the Storm that was No Man's Sky, they left it up,
Mhm.
and they kept selling it on there.
Mm.
The only, like we were talking about the other night, though, is how for games to go onto the PlayStation Store or the Microsoft Store, they have to go through their own quality testing.
They're vetted, yeah.
How did this game get past that? And do we think that they maybe the copies they submitted were like special copies, kind of like the trailers, where they've kind of isolated it and it's its own thing, and they've worked on it a lot harder than the rest of the game just to get it passed. Like,
It depends how vigorous their testing is. I mean, I have
Yeah.
no knowledge as to how they test these, but also within given times, there may have been more of a limited test than what it could have been this time last year without the COVID situation.
It could have been an isolated mission or two that they do. They could have known Sony only tests for an hour and a half to make sure that it runs fine and stuff. Microsoft will do it for 2.5 hours. Let's submit a 2.5 hour version that's polished. It hasn't got these bugs. It's got nothing wrong with it. Get it through testing. Let's get the game out there.
yeah.
Well, for the last gen, it's not even the bugs that are the main issue; it's the quality, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Vice City level.
Yeah, I
Even-
think
yeah.
the poor thing about that, though, is that this game was supposed to come out on last gen consoles.
But this is the problem when you develop a game for so long, where technology is changing, is you start upgrading to that and forgetting about where you originated from, and then you're like, "Oh, we still got to do that."
Yeah,
But with that, oh, we'll just leave that there and we'll put something in
Yeah.
there.
like this
Yeah.
one is as pretty as we imagined this old one was going to be. But they've just, rather than like cut the last gens, they could have just said, sorry guys, we overestimated. Previous gen consoles just can't handle what we want the game to be, so we're just not going to do it.
And I think that would have been fine.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, how good of an opportunity would there be if they said, right, okay, it's not coming out for PS4,
Yeah.
but with the release of the PS5, Cyberpunk's coming out with it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they could have ditched the development for like PS4, which could
Absolutely.
a bit more time.
Yep.
Yeah, it would have been the most sensible thing. I assume again, this is probably down to management and pocket size.
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
to be honest.
It
is
always
what that
comes down
comes
to
down
money,
to.
no matter what the conversation. It always comes
guess-
down to money.
They were developing for like 7 different platforms. I think it was quoted as saying.
I think it was
Yeah.
9.
Was it 9? Oh, okay, that's even
Sure, I heard
worse.
from it was 9.
9 different,
PlayStation
4, not
PlayStation 5.
platforms. That's not the right word.
Oh yeah, don't forget like PS4 Pro and things like that.
Yeah,
like Xbox,
and then you got
Xbox Elite and-
Stadia.
Yeah,
So I
Stadia.
think
Oh yeah,
the
that was
streaming
Stadia.
platform. Yeah.
You know that thing that Google did?
yeah, that thing that everybody knows about.
No.
So yeah, so
Um,
PC, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox Series
One
X,
Series
Xbox.
X, Series S.
Yeah, so it's not. It's 9.
It's mad.
That's ridiculous.
And then you got all the variants of technology within the PCs of Nvidia, AMD,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Intel.
Yeah. I mean, when we saw the specs for it, remember, I mean, that was months ago now. When the specs were released, we thought it was really low, right?
Yeah,
This
We
is
had
they
not
were
what we
like
expected.
really low.
No. So how have them specs held up, Jinx, in your rig?
So I went into this thinking, okay, this is going to be a killer. I don't know whether I haven't overclocked or tuned anything on mine. I'm not doing too bad. I am treating it like a console in some ways. I'm happy playing that game at around 30 FPS at the moment. I can whack it up to a lot more, but I've got ray tracing on, I've got graphics on high, I've got it visually looking really nice, but it still runs between 30 and 60 FPS. If I maxed anything out, I could probably not get far than moving around. But you could play that happily 1080. This is 1080p just for people's references.
Yeah.
You could sit there and you could lock it easy at 60 FPS without the likes of maybe ray tracing. But as well, I am using the new DLSS technology as well to help buffer with the quality. I think it's good for me personally. Like with my computer, it's pretty good. But again, mine's not on the lower side of the recommendations, so it's still very demanding. You can tell it's a hefty game.
Yeah.
Very.
But they weren't far off the mark with what they put down, or
So let me just bring up the system requirements again because I've slept since then.
I think they changed it as well.
we slept a lot since then, but about 8 months, I think.
Yeah,
Because I remember the first one coming out, and we were like, "That's really low. Like
Yeah.
those requirements are like rock bottom."
Let
But
me
I'm pretty
see.
sure they re-released it.
So this says
If you've got the link, Jinx, if you just send it to me, and I'll load it up for all to.
Yeah, let me bring this up. I actually just had the Google one come up, but oh, go away. Fucking ad blocker stuff. Do you run ad blockers?
No.
Okay, then you can use this then.
Cool.
It doesn't use AdBlock.
Wait, Bestie, are you still in here with the from what you just posted in the media room in Discord?
Yeah, I saw that on Steam.
Is that legit?
Yeah, that's on Steam. Yeah, that came up this morning when I logged in. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
What? What kind of a crossover is that?
you get. That's because Kojima's in Cyberpunk, isn't he?
Hideo Kojima
Who
is in
isn't in Cyberpunk?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing if to get him in, they said, "Well, can we
Okay.
put something in your game too, Mr.
So
Kojima?"
these are the minimum.
Mr. Kojima.
Mr. Kojima,
Please.
Sorry, Miss Person.
can you wear one of our jackets, please?
I feel like the
What we
PR
got?
has gone nuts. Like the last year with who they've got in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we
It
have.
feels like they've almost like they've overstretched themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think they went? Just a side question. Do you think they went for all the different streamers to try and get their markets across everyone?
Yeah, they're scooping in these little groups of people, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, let's give Co Carnage a mission. We'll tell him to tell all his viewers about it. They'll probably buy the game because of it.
Hmm.
You know, stuff like that. So then let's get
I was-
Kojima.
I was then about to mention that word that we're not allowed to say anymore.
It's saved.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there are people out there that will go and they will just sit by that particular streamer, and yeah,
Mhm,
They will
mhm.
fangirl over the.
That's the one.
fangirl.
Yeah.
That's the one.
We can say fangirl.
Yeah.
Or
For
fanboy,
now.
fan person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Come on, look, Jesus.
It's 2020 off.
Same
So,
pronouns.
minimum specs for running Cyberpunk at 1080p. We've got graphic settings on low, DirectX 12, which is sort of standard now, right? Processor i5 3570K or AMD FX 8310. 8 gig of
I've never
memory.
heard of that processor before.
Sorry?
I've never heard of that AMD FX processor before.
Oh, really? Oh, it was a big flop. Yeah, that series, the FX were not very good.
Cool. So why would they not use a more common one?
Why would they not
To
put like
put it-
Ryzen 3?
The reason why is because that's technically like it's not an octa-core, it really isn't. It's like a quad-core hyperthread, but it's quite an old CPU. I mean, you're going way previous to the Ryzen range.
Right.
So they're able to say that any Ryzen will cope. But if you've got like an 8 to 10-year-old CPU, apparently that will work.
Yeah, apparently I can run it. I'm tempted.
Nice.
Try.
This is on low though.
What I would love to do is build a computer with all of those parts in it, with those specific parts in it,
Let's see how it runs.
and see if the game is actually playable. Because I don't think it would be.
Tell you what, any tech people out there, Bruce, if you're in here, get on it. We know that you love your tech.
I could run it with an FX 6300.
That's even lower than that one though, right?
It is, yeah.
So
Yeah.
8 gig of memory. We've got an NVIDIA GTX 780 3 gig or an AMD RX 470. 3 gigabyte of video RAM. I'm guessing that's video RAM. I feel like
Yeah.
video RAM. And 70 gigabyte of hard drive space, but an SSD is recommended.
Yeah. It's just like those specs. It doesn't match up to me.
No.
If you how could you get it to run on that if you can't get it to run on a PS4?
Yeah. I mean, maybe the PS4 runs minimum specs, and that's what it looks like. I don't know.
Well, yeah, potentially.
So to give you an idea, I've actually just pulled up my game to get the specs that I'm running,
Mhm.
which turn the volume down. So I've got mine set to. I'm using the RTX 2060 with the 3700X Ryzen
Mhm.
and 32 gig of DDR4. I'm running mine. Mine's 1080 because I've already got a 1080p monitor.
Yeah.
We're looking at pretty much. Let me just get the details up. Sorry.
That's right.
DLSS is on quality. Ray tracing's on. They got a lot of ray tracing options. You've got ray tracing, ray trace reflections, ray trace shadows, ray trace lighting.
Bloody hell.
So you can really balance the ray tracing levels that you want
Yeah.
quite dramatically. And then you can change those lightings from off to medium to ultra to psychos. So psychos, obviously, they're epic kind of version. But everything's pretty much either on ultra or high. And I'm running it at about between 30 and 60 FPS, depending on the level of detail. You can also turn down the amount of population per, NPCs that are roaming around the
Right,
streets
the
in order to
density, yeah.
reduce
I think that's a good idea.
the crowd density, lens flare, depth of field, film grain, field of view. You got your typical presets and your texture kind of qualities. There's a lot of details you can really. This is the problem with consoles. You can't do that, which is a shame. I still feel like I don't see why you couldn't or why you shouldn't be able to manage the console graphic quality.
Makes no sense.
No, because you'll still have your maximum that's kind of predetermined within the console capability. Why couldn't you reduce that in order to increase a better experience for yourself with frame rates or anything else.
Yeah.
But that's the level I've got it on, and it's playable,
That's not bad.
but it's not
Not bad.
maxed out by any means, obviously.
No. So what did you say? What graphics card did you say you're running?
I'm running an RTX 2060.
2060, yeah, same as me, and a Ryzen 5 or 7 3700K.
3700X.
Yeah, so I suppose the thing with these stats, it doesn't actually mention sort of your frame rates that you get. It's all well and good running these.
Exactly. What is their baseline that they're working towards?
Are they working towards 30 FPS? Are they working towards
It'll
60?
probably be 30, right?
But for a PC, should it be?
No, it shouldn't, but that's probably what they've gone for.
Which they could have done because of doing it for the previous console generation.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's just crazy. I don't.
So,
with
all of
one,
that,
sorry,
then,
very quickly,
go on.
I can't see that's possible. That at 1440 like that, I don't believe that's possible. I'll be very surprised.
With a Ryzen 3.
Again, I guarantee that be without ray tracing turned on.
Yeah, so they've not really gone in, but the things that they've gone for is graphics settings as ultra. I'm guessing that's just like without any of the options. You set it to ultra, and that's how it would.
And turn ray tracing off, because I can guarantee if I'm doing that, some of mine isn't even on ultra. Mine's 1080p, and I can get 30 FPS. There's no way you're getting anywhere near that on 1440 with ray tracing on.
Yeah.
So that comes down to optimization for hardware and stuff as well, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Do we just think that they overshot everything? It seems like the more stuff that we're talking about now, it seems like they were just putting the bar way too high for what they were able to get out in this timescale that they gave themselves.
Personally, I feel like they could have done most of, or like the majority of the things that they were planning on doing, had they have cut the previous gens earlier. Say, for example, when they're deciding to delay from April, if they've just said then it's not going to make it, we'll now plan for the launch of the next gen consoles and we'll go with that. I feel like the game could have been completely different. Probably not up to the hype that people have built up for it, or did build up for it, but I think it would have been in a better place.
I guess the only counterbalance to that, I don't know if Ross will have any feeling on this as well, but within a creative role, if you give them unlimited time, it would never be finished.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? I mean, I think that's the only problem. Is they've completely outshot the deadline that they should have had in order to, they should have left it longer. We can all easily agree that it was not ready to be released, especially for previous gen. But I think they still have to have that deadline, and somehow kind of work together in order to make sure that they do what they need to do within that time. Otherwise, within the creative mind, it's just nothing's ever complete, and it will just continue. More stuff will come out, more updates, more technology, and think about it. GTA 5 is probably the closest comparison we got, right?
Yeah, that or like Red Dead 2, right?
Or Red Dead 2. They did GTA in 3 years.
Did they?
They did GTA 5 in 3 years. Yeah, I did. As long as my sources are right, I did search it up. They completed that within 3 years. They started production after San An. Within 3 years, they released it.
And then again, you've got think about Rockstar. They've made these games like for a long time, so they've probably got a very streamlined process, and they know exactly what they're shooting for.
It's true, and they could have used the same engine, whereas they obviously redeveloped a new engine for this.
Yeah,
possibly.
so I think for
3 times the amount of time.
I reckon one, obviously they're doing a genre of game that has not really been done before on a level. Yeah, I think it's just so many new elements that they've chucked into it, as well as a new engine or adapted an engine.
Yeah.
Combined, I think, with just the unique factor that there's been like 9, was it 9 platforms?
Which one's me?
I have a feeling that kind of like come along halfway, and they've just gone, right, we're going to do that as well. And it's just been
Yeah.
chucked in, and nothing's really been adjusted, or they haven't gone thought of like, oh, okay, well, is that actually feasible? Can we do that? Should we?
Yeah.
Again, more decisions from management, I
I feel
assume.
like I feel like they've just kind of gone, yeah, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that, let's just chuck it all on. It's gonna
Yeah.
be all right, and then, yeah, and as you can see, it's not. You can't do that.
So do you think they should have limited what they were actually capable of doing?
I think it's such a pain in the ass to develop for multiple platforms.
Yeah.
Let alone,
9.
I still got a launch day PS4.
Wow.
Can they guarantee that it'll work okay on that? I doubt it will.
I think you'll kill it off, mate.
I think
Yeah,
I genuinely think it'd probably combust as soon as
Yeah.
you put the disc in, let alone even starting it up.
Go,
It'll
nope.
just or your
Yeah.
PlayStation will grow legs and leg it like I'm out of here, no chance.
Yeah. I think also they should have had some. Feels like, again, it's not up to developers. I think it's just more upper management that have a bit of faith in their product
Mhm.
to say, right, this is going to be AAA. This is going to be a whole new experience. Let's have the confidence to move it to the next gen.
Yeah.
I think that's certainly something they should have done.
It does sound like a money thing. 9
Yeah.
platforms. I mean,
Yeah.
PC, get the PC version out, get the console version out after that, like next gen console version out, and then maybe look at previous gen after that. It just seems like they went the complete wrong way about prioritizing what they wanted it to release on.
I guess the problem is, playing devil's advocate, is that they didn't know quite the numbers of people that would be getting the next generation consoles. But then when you look at the figures I saw most recently, there's 110 million PlayStation 4s out in the world. Why would they cut that out? Because that's potentially 110 million copies of Cyberpunk that are going to be sold. Compared to if they just cut it off and then said, fine, we'll just go to next gen. Especially with COVID, this limited the stocks of next gen consoles. It would have limited how many copies they would have sold as well, right? So that's why they've done it. As much as we all agree that they shouldn't have done it, that's where the money lies, and that's why they decided with it.
I think they're going to pay for it in the long run.
Do we think,
in terms of reputation, and don't forget they're going to be fixing bugs for God knows how long. Exactly. They're going to pay for it in time
and they're
reputation.
still working on the next gen version as well.
Are they?
That's going to get delayed. Yeah, the next gen version's not even out yet.
Oh God, I might wait until that's out and then see if that's okay.
That's what I'm doing.
But just a quick question: do you think, had COVID not been a thing, do you think this game would have been okay?
No, not a chance.
Like, how much? I guess we can't know for certain because we don't know how that studio runs things. But how much does really working at home affect productivity like that? Do you think, Ross, that it is a minus factor by much being at home?
I can't remember. We've had some stuff pushed back. I'm trying to think. Maybe probably say stuff we've had pushed back. Stuff that's within the next year or within a year. Probably pushed back about a month.
So not much then.
Not much.
COVID being at home hasn't really affected it too much, is what I'm saying.
Not for my. I wouldn't say for my company. We actually kind of adapted pretty well to working from home.
Yeah.
The biggest thing we've found is just after a while, it's just fatigue.
Yeah, for sure.
Working from home, productivity is starting to go down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of glad they didn't. In their apology, they didn't come out and mention COVID, right? or did
They
they?
have previously for the delays. They
Mm-hmm.
blamed COVID,
Yeah.
but here they didn't.
Yeah.
Um,
I was
but
going to say, if they blame COVID, I'd be questioning even more than what we are now about the reason the game was released.
yeah,
It would have
Yeah.
been a good excuse for
I
them
think
to
the
use
one thing
short
about this
film.
apology that you've got on the screen that pisses me off most is that they say we should have paid more attention to making it play better on the PS4 and Xbox One. It's like, how? What do you mean? Like, surely you have. How do you just forget? How do you
I don't
just stop
know.
paying
They didn't.
attention
They
to the
didn't.
last gens? You know,
No.
you
Probably,
don't.
yeah. I think it's 9 platforms, so it's probably just an oversight.
They've
They-
just cut. I honestly think they like the developers themselves kind of cut the previous gens in their mind, even though the previous gens weren't cut from the production. It was like just like a we'll worry about that later on, and we'll just focus on the fancy one. And obviously they never caught up.
Jinx
Could
has
be.
got a thing on that. He tutted. He pulled a face.
No, not at all. No, I'm just. It's just I don't understand where it really went wrong for them, and trying to understand what's going on behind the scenes. Again, it just comes down to poor management, and I don't know. With knowing other people like Ross that have been within this industry and the shit that they go through, and they're the ones that's having to kind of suffer and now fix the issues that they try to make clear in the first place under more pressure than what they probably were under the first time, because now it's widely known. I don't know. It just ticks me off a little.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So one thing I was thinking, if there were so many bugs, obviously we've spoke about how it could have been the ray tracing, it could have been the amount of assets that are potentially in the game causing any of it. If they had done, I mean, everything's turned into like a live service, right? You've got live world events in Fortnite. You've got patches being released like server side, let alone actual patches pushed. Do we think that if they had dropped the amount of assets in that final game and released them at a later date in a bigger patch, would it have changed anything? Would people be less hyped about it? Would it have changed the state of the PS4 and Xbox version?
I don't know. I guess it depends on like how they developed it, right? Because they could have not played the game. I don't really know how it works, but I know there's like the Badlands area outside of the city. They could have just been like, there is a Badlands, but it's not out yet. We're going to bring it out in February 2021.
They wouldn't be able to do that without ruining too much of the story.
Yeah.
You pick people at the beginning. You pick like
One of them's based from the Badlands, right?
one that's based on the Badlands.
Yeah.
So without that, then you're literally taking out a main character to the campaign.
So then, in that
causing
case, it's like, what do they decide to drop and bring out later on to be
Yeah.
able to make the game better in the first place? I don't think they can, just because of
Type of
that's
game,
just how the
really, isn't
games
it?
are made, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you're talking about that, I think it's starting to stray into like the Call of Duty, Activision
Yeah.
Yeah.
way that they kind of present their games.
Yeah, let's
So, like-
let's make like 20 maps, but we'll
Yeah.
only release 4, and then we'll bring out more later on.
The games just feel so bare bone, like
Yeah.
when they're released. It's like nothing in them.
hmm
And just as you get to the end, where actually there might be some decent content in there. All right, time for the next one.
And to think you used to have to pay for that actual content as well.
Yeah.
And I'd happily hand my wallet over to pay for it as well, was the worst thing, I think.
Yeah, I'm with
You, me, yeah, you know all of us.
But anyway,
Lesson learned.
do we think as one of the closer notes, do we think that Cyberpunk 2077 is evidence for cross-platform or more specifically cross-generational games being a bad idea?
Not to some degree.
Yeah.
I think again it comes down to lack of kind of communication inside the company, maybe management as well. And again, I suppose compared to some of the big boys out there, they're not actually that big a company.
No.
and they tried to pull something off, like Ross said, that they've never really done before. I think this is more of just a colossal fuck up internally.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I don't think this is a lesson for other people as such, as enough that they probably should know themselves
It's
where
a lesson for
this
themselves.
place. Yeah, I mean, others know where they went wrong. Other developers will be sat there going, "Well, we know exactly what went wrong here." That's my opinion. Obviously, that doesn't mean that's the actual case.
Well, yeah.
You heard it
know,
here first, everyone. Jinx has the only opinion that matters.
I totally agree with I think as Ross said, or Ryan, they probably should have just completely dropped previous gen altogether. That would have made a huge kind of bump up. But again, 111 million consoles out there. I can see why they went for it.
Yeah,
And it was intended for that platform in the first place.
exactly.
But yeah, it certainly should have come out in this state, and they certainly should have, I don't know, maybe kind of increase their management or decrease the level of detail that are willing to go in a game if they're really pushing it that much.
Hmm.
However, from someone that's playing it, I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Good.
As a PC kind of player, fucking hats off to them. Sorry to the console guys.
Isn't it?
It's I've had one. We were flicking through before we started. We were flicking through obviously some of these bugs and stuff like that. I don't think personally, and this is my opinion only, those bugs that we've shown earlier on, I've seen pretty much any AAA game come out with bugs like that, and you shrug it off. It comes out in a patch. It's not a problem. Personally, this whole problem to me is the PlayStation 4 graphics are ridiculous, and I think that's where it's really wrong. The only issue I've seen is there was a mention where doors being closed during like certain kind of cutscenes and campaign storylines, and I had that happen to me on a moment, and they all fucking sat inside talking. They're like, "Are you gonna do or say something?" I'm like, "I can't. I'm locked outside."
Yeah.
Wait, what?
And I had to reload the checkpoint. There was no way to get around it. It happened once, but that was it. And I'm like, big deal.
Yeah. You got to think, look at Bethesda, right? And all the games they bring out.
Which ones? Yeah.
It's just shrugged off, isn't it? It's Bethesda. They make these massive games and people just say, they're big games, they're ambitious. It's fine, they'll fix it, and they never normally really fix everything.
No,
it's more with Cyberpunk. I think the main issue stems from the fact of how bad the previous gen copies are, right?
And how hidden and how deceitful they were about going around
exactly.
it. I think that's the big issue. The bugs are one issue, but that's not really the problem here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the expectation then that has basically dug the grave for what has happened?
Yeah, it's the expectation that the consumers have, but the expectation that was allowed to be built up by CD Projekt Red in the first place.
Yeah, and they made The Witcher 3 as well, and then they come out and announce, Cyberpunk, and hype it up massively. They come off the back of a really good game. Maybe they just bitten off more they could chew at this point.
Yeah.
I think Ross, right? They definitely have. I don't blame them for bigging up this hype. That's what a company should do. But if you're gonna do that, kind of follow through with it.
Yeah.
and
I think
back it up.
the one thing I'm glad of from this is I'm glad that it's someone like CD Projekt Red that has dived into this type of genre rather than the likes of Rockstar, because we would have just got, if Rockstar were doing Cyberpunk, it would have just been GTA but Cyberpunk. Whereas at least with this being a developer that's not done it before, we're getting a new spin on it. Imagine if Ubisoft would have done it. You'd have been climbing towers and unlocking map parts and stuff, collecting feathers around the map. So it's good that a new well, not a new developer, but a different developer has jumped into a different genre.
Yeah.
And this was a big part as to why I wasn't getting into the hype like everyone else. I'm like I think Chris had said in chat earlier, when she mentioned it was like a futuristic GTA.
Yeah.
That's what I had in my head. I was like, it's going to be the same shit, different day.
Yeah.
And and it does show within the same developers. Again, look at Bethesda in every single game they've released.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the whole thing throughout every single one. This is completely different to what Rockstar's take would have been on it, and it is refreshing in that manner.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll give that to them for sure.
Yeah.
I was going to
Well-
say something I've forgotten. I was too busy listening and taking in everything.
Well, I
I'm
guess.
still looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's-
That's where I was going.
You'll find yourself falling very quickly into it. Very quickly into it. I've pulled myself away on purpose. I need
Because
to
you
get
want
So-
it to be in a better state, or I mean,
no,
you said
purely
that you've
because
got
I was just going through it too quick. I like to enjoy it.
Oh, okay.
I put 14 hours in 2 days, so
Yeah, I think Bruce has done like 50 or something already, has he not? If not more.
yeah, he's already completed several storylines. He's on 78.2 hours at the moment.
My God.
78.
78.2, yeah.
Wow.
I think that's
Mad.
I played all. That's like the same amount I played all year.
Yeah, it's insane.
So the plan going forward, then, Marcus and Ross, you say you're going to wait for next gen and see how that looks.
Yeah, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago as well, and I just feel like I want to play it as they intended it to be. I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'd be able to do that. I bought a £450 console. I want my £70 game to play how it should be on that
Yeah.
console, you know.
Is that how much it's going to be for PS4, is it?
I'm just guessing probably around that by the time they release DLC and actually get the game out, yeah.
So what I'm going to be doing, I'm actually waiting for my PS4 copy of Cyberpunk to show up.
Oh,
And when it does,
You did
I'm
it.
going to stick that bad boy in my PS5 and I'm going to go live and we're going to see how bad it is.
you
Because
bought it for PS4?
apparently, if you play it backwards compatible on PS5, it's not that bad. It's
Oh.
That could
because
be a
of
good
the
shout.
hardware in it, it can run it a bit better. So I'm gonna, when I get the game, I'm gonna tweet out and I'll be going live with first impressions, and they will literally be first impressions.
Is
Like,
it
I'm not-
worth, just out of curiosity, is it worth, because you've still got your PS4, haven't you?
Yes, but I might not.
Oh, okay. I was
gonna
going to
sell
say, okay. I was going to say you could potentially do it with both and see, and do a switch over halfway through. That'd be pretty
Or-
cool.
Or do a 30-minute or an hour pre-recording and then
I'll
50-50
chuck it in my
split
PS4.
between.
I mean, it's PS4 Pro, so it might
Yeah.
be a bit better than people's PS4s, but yeah, I can chuck it in my PS4.
I think that could be quite a good little comparison to do live.
Yeah.
You switch over and or get half an
Could
hour of
work
the
something
PS4.
like
That could be pretty good. That'd be pretty
Mhm.
good to compare. And if it runs well on PS5, I'll probably end up buying it because I'm an idiot.
My problem is I just like new games. Like I always buy stuff early.
You like shiny things.
Yeah, that is literally me. Like
Shiny.
when the Avengers game came out and everyone was saying about how there's not that much content in it, I still bought it because I wanted to play it. It was an Avengers game.
Did you
Have I
complete
picked
it?
it up since? Not really. But from from what I've heard about it, it'd be good to play with other people, but it's just that no one else has the game.
Basically, developers, if your new games are buggy, send them to Ryan and he'll play them for you.
Yeah, 100%. Play anything, mate. But no, for specifically for Cyberpunk is my curiosity. I kind of want to see where it's at now, and then it'd be good to see, how what they can change within a few months.
The drip ratings were on the drip ratings.
Yeah, we've
get some
got
from that as
we've
well.
got to put that together as well. Still, our first strip
They're
rating.
very nice.
Yeah. All right.
It's all good.
Well, I guess that is it. Unless anyone has any more points to bring up, or
Closing thoughts, maybe.
I think Project Red can recover from this if they do it right. I can't say exactly how they got to do it, but they got to tread very carefully. They got to do it right. They've already they're already going back to obviously sort out the console situation. They're already releasing patches for PC. I assume they're going to throw some free content for people to apologize. It costs them nothing at the end of the day.
Yep.
And again, comparing it to Witcher 3 that had a year's delay, many bugs, game crashes and issues upon release. Although no one really remembers them because we just remember the game being there as the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah.
It is still one of the highest rated games of all time. And people are still picking it up brand new now and loving it. So I think they can recover, but the problem with a company that small is they don't have much history to go by, so they've got to do something.
Yeah. Do you think they've got the next 2 or 3 patches ready to go, but they're just going to drip feed them out?
Nope.
Make it look like they're constantly doing things?
Not a chance.
I
You think
don't
they'd
think
do
so.
that over getting it fixed as soon as possible?
I don't know. I don't know. If it looks like they're working extra hard to get it fixed, are people going to be like, oh, they're actually trying to get this sorted now? Or is it going to be a case of they release one huge patch and everyone goes, huh, so they've been working on this, that's cool. It gets fixed and then nobody remembers the status in or was in? Or I don't know. I don't know whether they do small updates or they focus on certain bugs.
Well,
the thing is,
in the apology, it said there's going to be 2 big patches, one in January, one in February. So I think that's what their plan is. Yeah. There you go. Right in the middle. We'll release 2 large patches, starting with patch 1 in January.
On last gen
patch
consoles,
in
yeah.
February. Yeah, so that's where their focus is getting last gen consoles up to a playable standard, is what they've said. It's not going to look.
Or it's
So-
the PS5.
The
Yeah.
question then, if they're going to release these patches that are going to fix most of the problems on last gen console, why didn't they release it for PC and say, console players, you're going to have to wait another 2 months?
Probably because of the death threats.
Potentially.
I mean,
There's no knowing.
But surely in that situation, you've got to. I mean, people are going to come out and they're going to say, look, it's not fair that you're doing that, which it isn't. It's terrible. But they're still going to be receiving them threats, probably for the next 2 or 3 months until these patches get sorted. So do you just roll with it and just try and brush it off? I mean, it's a serious matter. Do you try and brush it off, go into work every day like you're going to be doing until February to get these 2 patches out anyway?
Again,
go on.
it comes down to who you're asking, developers or managers.
Yeah. The devs will want the time.
They'll take all the time in the world to get it right. The managers won't.
Ross is like keeping quiet. He's like, yeah, I know some of them.
Yeah.
But it works the same way in every industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
The managers, they're the ones taking the money. The frontliners are the one taking the wrath.
Yeah.
And that's the way that they'll see it. They still made a ton of money. They're like, it is what it is. Couple of months, it'll all be fine. Don't worry about it. I'm absolutely fine. Pocketed quite nicely right now. So let's worry about that then. And I'll fly out and have some fun now. While you get to work.
It'll
fixing
be
the issue.
interesting to see how many people actually refund.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? They're offering the refund, but not everyone's just going to suddenly get it. So again, they've made more money doing it this way than they probably would have if they held off.
Yeah,
True.
definitely.
So, rightly or
Would they
wrongly.
have though? Because if people have pre-ordered, I imagine most of the people would have pre-ordered that have it on past gen console anyway. If they come out and they say you're going to have to wait till February, but it's going to be worth it, they get all these fixes out. They've already got the pre-order money. Do you know what I mean? I can't see it affecting it. It's probably a management thing, but I feel like they should have stepped up and the management should have come out and said, look, we've got it ready for PC. The last gen console looks like this. We want to try and improve this.
Yeah, even if they'd have done like a special Night City wire, like, look guys, we're going to have to delay it, and here is why. Like, we're going to play the PS4 version for an hour. This is what happens, and this is why we're not going to give it to you.
This is what it looks like. It's not what we want.
Would that be a
Yeah,
negative thing?
I think that, because before Like all of the previous times you've seen it being played, it looks pristine, it looks awesome,
Yeah.
it's running
Yeah, I
fine,
guess
and then
so.
suddenly they're showing this version that's buggy as hell, when you're like, what? How's this happened? I thought it was fine. What have you been showing me all this time?
Do
But
we
then
know
they've
whether
basically done that, but made people buy it to find
It's
out.
it's
haven't
tough either way. To be honest, at that point, it's like
the
just
fact that
bite the bullet.
they sent the review copies out as PC, just
Mhm.
PC version?
Yeah.
I feel like they should have come out on the last Night City Wire and said, "Look, this has all been PC footage, and potentially we've got a special one for you next gen. As unfortunately, we are going to be delaying it for next gen, but."
The problem is again, and just put your business cap on. No one's going to say that.
No.
No one. It's if you were working in a restaurant, you're like, oh well, this chicken it's a day out, but it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. I'm just telling you now, we're going to cook it for you, or they're just going to cook it for you and it'll be absolutely fine. They're not going to
Oh, by
admit
the way,
to
that was
something.
off.
Yeah, they're not going to admit to something
I
that could.
absolutely love that analogy. It's great.
Yeah, that's quite good actually. I like that.
But you know, it happens. It happens every single day,
Yeah.
and we're none of the wiser. We're just like, oh, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's like,
Tastes
I tasted it all right.
Reminds
Because
me of
it-
Like
the
the
old
next day.
the whole horse burger situation, you know.
The Waterberg analogy.
You weren't complaining when you were eating it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only a problem
You
when
know,
we do,
so
right?
Yeah.
but they will complain if you tell them. So then, unfortunately, yeah, in a business state of mind, they're never going to admit to something like that, even if it's in their best of hearts and best of interests.
Yeah.
To create that relationship with the consumer, they're just unfortunately never going to kind of do that. I unfortunately I thought CDPR were going to be that company that did have that kind of relationship with the fans, with all the things they promise and the things that they're building to, and even down to the fact that don't worry guys, you're all going to get to play it on the same day.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
No.
No, it didn't.
I mean,
And
I'm
that's-
sat here with a PS5, unable to play it. You know.
Yeah. Even on PC, and I'm having to wait a day later till there's all these other streamers are live streaming it for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, you've said that obviously they're going to learn from it. Do you think developers on the outside looking in, are going to take a look at this and change the way they do things?
I don't know if there's really much for outside developers to learn from the situation.
It's something that should have already been known, right? It shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, the one thing I look forward to when there's a documentary about this whole situation, which there probably will be. Someone will do like a YouTube documentary on it. But I don't think there's anything that other developers and other companies can really learn from it. This is a CDPR will learn from it more than anything.
has your company learned anything from it, Ross? Has that come up in your?
I don't think there haven't been any discussions necessarily about Cyberpunk. We've had stuff before in the previous, like before I was with the company, that they've had some learning curve.
I thought you were about to name drop, and I was like, no.
I'm not going to say anything specific, but they've had stuff like proofs that they've released that the community hasn't been happy with for one reason or another. So they're not. I say they're not afraid to push back dates if they think if they need more time. I think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, yeah,
And it
that's
eases the
very
pressure on
evident.
us as well to get stuff out.
So the reason I asked it was just kind of back up Ryan's statement that it is more of an isolated issue with this individual company than really.
Yeah, I think it's more the company rather than broader.
Yeah.
Do you think we see a load of people leave CD Projekt Red after this? Who's worked on the game?
Probably.
Yeah, they'll be all burnt out.
Yeah.
I won't be
No
surprised.
one will trust the management, will they? I mean, if that's where the issue stemmed from, no one will trust them. Why would you want to work for a company that, would put you through
If
something
that
like
happens, all I can say is I can't wait to see what game them ex-developers make. It's we see it all the time. People will leave; they'll go somewhere else. I mean, look at Hideo, and he went and made Death Stranding, and I've not played it. I've seen some of it, and he's made a mint just releasing that one game. And
Which
apparently it's a
I'm
good
really
game.
disappointed on, because I really wanted to see PT in production. If anyone remembers PT.
I remember PT. I still had it on my PS4. You download it and you got to keep it, and then they completely took it down one day.
People were trying to make millions out of their consoles when that went.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I remember the console selling for like 1,000 just for the demo.
Yeah, I was gutted when Hideo walked away from that. Well, we didn't walk away; he got forced out, didn't he?
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. I think that's
I
our
think that's it.
Cyberpunk special. Jinx, Ross, it's been good to get your views on it. Helped us fill a massive chunk of time, an hour and 45 for. I think the only time we've gone longer than this is when we had Jinx on last. So Jinx, you're the.
Sorry.
It was, yeah, because that was like a 2 hour something.
It
wasn't
was, yeah, it's 2:20 or something crazy. And I think with Ross we ended up doing extra as well.
Yeah.
Nice. So thank you very much for putting your time aside to come and join us.
No problem.
It's been
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
very fun. Any thoughts, Ryan, before I say goodbye?
Well, I mean, hopefully the next time we have a gathering like this on the podcast is something more positive. But yeah, giveaway. The giveaway's still running. If anyone's there that still hasn't entered, if you're following us, you've already made the mandatory entry, so you don't even have to do anything after that. Just click the link, connect yourselves to the Gleam website, and then on my birthday, which is New Year's Day, we will be drawing the winner for a £20 voucher.
If we hit 100 YouTube subs, which I think we're like 14
We're
shy
almost
or
there.
something.
We're not far off.
Pretty close, I think.
What are we up to now?
Let me I'll just
Let's get a little
Double-
live update.
double check that real quick, shall I?
Yeah.
The
Oh, wait.
update.
Oh,
I
that
think it was like
is.
80.
We're on
I think that's
86. I was right. 14 shy. Let's go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time I looked, it was 80. Let's do
Yeah.
quite.
Get
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're almost there. Oh my god, it's
So, yeah.
obscene the amount of people that view Animal Crossing videos.
So yeah, giveaway New Year's Day. Join us New Year's Day if you can. I'm trying to come up with some entertainment stuff to keep people here, but it'll be good to have everyone here for my birthday stream. So
Please, I need
Extreme.
friends.
please, friends, please come and love me.
Keep an eye out for the channel points section as well. That's going to be changing soon, including me and Ryan having to compliment each other, which is going to be just the worst kind of punishment, I think.
Yeah, might make it
yeah.
really expensive just so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Before you wrap up, did you have anything planned for the New Year stream yet?
Oh, hello.
No. Go on.
Well, I won't. I'm not going to say it on stream.
Okay, all right. We'll talk. We'll
Okay.
talk once we've ended. But no, I've not got anything specific. The only thing I've thought of so far is just more like engagement stuff. I want to do like one sub equals one party hat, and I'm going to buy a load of those party cone hats and
Nice.
just keep adding one to my head every time I get
around
sub.
his
So
face.
I could end up with just like a complete circle
mane.
of party cones.
A mane of party goes. Party
Um,
hats.
But
Nice.
yeah, in terms of what I'll play and stuff like that, not sure yet, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah. Cool.
And maybe Jinx has an idea for what to play. It sounded like
we'll
an
see.
idea. So
We'll see.
Maybe.
right,
not.
that is it for. I don't know what episode this would be anymore.
We need to stop. No, not a number. Cyberpunk Special. That's it. For
Cyberpunk Special. Let us know. Obviously, this is going on YouTube, which is why I'm going to say this. Let us know in the comments if you've had any bugs. Drop your links below as well if you've got any videos of them. And yeah, we will next be live. Ryan, hello. just staring into the abyss. I was like, "We'll next be live."
I mean, depending on what we're doing, maybe shortly, but if not tomorrow.
There you go. Maybe
Nice.
shortly, if not tomorrow. Whatever that might be, because we've not even discussed that either. Thank you very much for joining us again. And yeah, happy gaming. We'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
See you later, mashed potato.
Bye.